Good afternoon. This is Dr. Norma Thomas, and this is week 3 of Social Work 636. So let's first go to the introduction for this week and look at the learning objectives, which are to describe the process of program development, articulate the components of a grant proposal, and to develop a logic model. So there are several learning resources this week. The first are the readings for this week. So in the Kettner, Maroney, Martin book, you have chapters 1, 6, 7, and 8. There is this article on grant writing tools for nonprofits, and then information on the school-based mentoring program, a review of the research. Also, 3 websites that you might take a look at. This will be helpful in the second discussion post when you're looking for funding for your proposal. And 2 videos I would absolutely recommend that you take a look at. The first goes through the writing of SMART objectives, which I mentioned last week. But SMART stands for specific, measurable. Here in this video it says agreed, but generally we say achievable, realistic, and time-phased or time-bound. So please take a look at that short video. The second video is specific to the construction of a logic model, which you will have to do this week. There are a couple of activities this week, but first there's a reminder that what you are posting in the one discussion post is now considered a draft. So a draft of your program proposal part 1 was introduced this week in the first discussion forum. So the revision for that is due in week 4. So the feedback you get from me and the members of your triad, which we'll talk about shortly, will be used to submit your second written assignment for this class in week 4. So the first discussion post asks you to do the following. This is the first part of your proposal. So you're going to refer to chapter 15 of the Brody and Nair book and chapter 8 of the Kettner book to construct a statement of need, goals and objectives, and a logic model. And there is a template that we'll take a look at now. So for your proposal this week, it's okay to include this verbiage that is at the beginning and giving you guidance on writing the proposal. However, by the time you submit the final product, you'll be removing all this information and getting right to the specific components. So your name, the organization's name, and then going to your statement of need. So you're going to use complete sentences addressing in paragraph form and covering these criteria. What is the unmet need or problem? What does your organization want to change? Who will be served? How will they benefit? This second component, it requires you to do research, and not only using the classroom readings, but outside readings to support the fact that this is a need. For example, if you were to be looking at homelessness in the aging population in Philadelphia, you can say that's a need, but what is the basis for you saying that? What are the demographics? What's the source of the problem? What's the causes? How many people are affected? How many are severely affected? And what's the geographic location, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going to be doing research here. So there is an expectation that you will take some time to gather empirical data on this need. If you can't find local data, you can always use regional and national data. You're also going to talk about your organization, so you might be able to use some of the information that you've already described about your organization for your discussion post for week 1. You can repeat what you have above in your statement of need and put it in this box, but if you have a few good paragraphs, then I would say don't repeat it again, otherwise it's redundant. Goals and objectives. Again, we're talking about writing SMART objectives: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time phase, and goals. So this template has you looking at 3 goals, which are what we aspire to. It's things like improve someone's well-being, which is not really measurable. How you do that are your objectives. So 3 goals with 3 objectives for each goal. Then at the end, you're going to use this template for a logic model and refer back to the video on logic models. But for this logic model, we're requiring inputs, throughputs, outputs, and objectives and outcomes. So that's what you are doing for your first post. Once you have all that put together, you're going to upload it. You are going to be working in groups of 3 this week and throughout the rest of the semester. So this group that you're assigned to will be your group for the rest of the semester. So each of you is to critique what's submitted by the other 2. And here's the guide that you want to use. You're going to act like you could possibly be a funder for this project. So use these criteria to help you provide feedback to your partners. You're going to post by Thursday and then do your responses to 2 people by close of day on Sunday. There's a second discussion post, which does not require you to respond to a partner. You can if you wish, but it does not require you to. So this one is when you're actually going to try to find some funding. So using a keyword search on the need that you've identified, you want to look for grants or private foundations or some funding source for your proposal. And then you're going to talk about why you chose it, how does it fit with your proposal, how difficult this was, what were the issues you found. So again, your initial post is due Thursday. You do not have to respond to a partner. So for this week, some of this is review from what you already read last week. The first chapter in the Kettner book talks about writing and thinking about the hypothesis, those if-then statements. If this happens, then that will happen. Talks about goals and objectives, which we've already covered, making them measurable and SMART, and then how you do construction of a logic model with putting all the components and outlining logically how that program proposal will flow. It also talks about evaluation. So at some point in this proposal, you will also have to talk about how you will evaluate it. How will you prove that the objectives that you outline have been reached? As a reminder, again, always include readings, and in this discussion post, you have to. It demonstrates that you've done the reading, you've understood the reading, and that you can relate theory into practice. So if you have any questions, please email me as quickly as possible. I will try to answer you as fast as I can, and I look forward to reading this first component of your proposals.